Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar on the home buying process. We're going to go through the whole process today and delighted to have you with us to learn everything you might need to know or to get a refresher if that's the case. So we are in webinar mode today, and that means that for those of you on the call, if you're eating your lunch, if your kids are in the background, if you've got an office going on, don't worry, everybody's muted. We cannot hear you. So you can go ahead and participate in the webinar, but we won't be able to hear you. And that means if you want to ask a question, we're going to ask you to put your questions into the Q&A feature on Zoom. If you don't see Q&A on your toolbar, you're going to go into the three dots on the far right and select Q&A, and that's how you're going to ask questions. You can ask questions at any point during the webinar, whatever your particular thing is that you need to know about. We will save most of the questions for the end. So go ahead and drop them in at any time and know that we're going to get to your questions at the end. Anything that we haven't already covered in the presentation, we're going to circle back and get to those. However, we would love to test the Q&A feature now just to make sure everyone knows how to use it. Again, if you don't see it on your toolbar, go to the three dots on the side and select more and go into the Q&A. You can just drop into the Q&A where you're joining us from, and we love to know that. It's nice to know where our audience is from. So if you feel like doing that, go ahead and go into the Q&A, test it out by telling us where you're joining us from. This presentation is being recorded, and that means that we will be posting it onto our YouTube, so you'll be able to watch it again at any time. And we also are going to send the slides out to you. The fact that you've registered means you're going to get the slides. You're also going to get an invitation to fill out a workshop survey. We love to get your honest feedback because it really helps us improve. So please feel free to fill out the survey. Tell us anything that could be better or anything we did right. We love to know that too. Now I would like to introduce Sarah Sharp is here from the MGB Employee Assistance Program, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the EAP program, which is sponsoring this webinar today. Sarah?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jen. As Jen mentioned, I am one of the employee assistance counselors. So EAP, what is the EAP? So we are a work-life benefit. We offer free short-term solution-focused counseling to our employees and their family members. We identify family members as those that live in the household. Some topics that we see, again, it's a work-life benefit, so workplace concerns. We do a lot of manager consults, workplace issues with a colleague or something like that. And we also do, some of the personal concerns as well, anxiety, depression, relationship, grief and loss, stress, resilience. So we kind of like to see ourselves as, no matter what the concern is, whether at work or at home, that we are a great resource for you all. We also have financial, legal, childcare, elder care resources available to you. Our sessions are available telehealth, in person, and by phone. We really want to meet you where you're at. So whatever's easiest for you, you can call that 866 main number, or you can find us through our website and book an appointment there as well. Our website also has all of our resources. So if you just want to kind of take a look before scheduling, or you're in between waiting for your appointment, that's a great resource to check out. So that QR code will, send you the right information to our website. And yeah, please feel free to reach out. And I'm going to hand it back over to Jen Fries and the Harvard FCU team. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Sarah. It's a wonderful program, and I definitely invite people on the call to take advantage of all your EAP benefits. And we're happy to be here in partnership with you. So I think a lot of people on this call are already members of the credit union, but I know some are not. And we just like to let you know a little bit about us before we get started. For those of you who don't know, a credit union is very much like a bank. We provide all the products and services that your bank might offer, such as checking, savings, credit cards, mortgages, as we're going to talk about today, student loans, car loans, etc., CDs, all the things. But we are not for profit. We are owned by our members. We're not trying to make a profit off of you or to give back to shareholders. And that means that we're often offering better rates and more services. For instance, we have surcharge-free ATMs. If an ATM anywhere charges you a fee, we refund it. And lots of other great services as well. We are part of a shared branching network, which means if you are a member because you're here at MGB and then you move somewhere else in the country and you want to still be a Harvard FCU member, you can bank by mobile, online banking, the app, but you can also walk in to shared branches of other credit unions and co-ops nationwide and do your banking. So those things, we try and make it easy for you to, once a member, always a member, stay with us and get all the benefits that you can. So you're eligible to join. Please think about it if you're not already a member, and there's lots of different information on our website about how to join if you're interested. Today, we're going to be hearing from Sharon Cummings. She is our senior mortgage loan originator here at the credit union. She, for more than 2 decades, has been working with our members and helping you with your home buying dreams, making them a possibility. She takes it really seriously. Just right before we got on this webinar, she was dealing with something, just making sure someone's loan is going to go through, underwriting, and delighted to have Sharon here with us to walk us through the home buying process. So without further ado, Sharon, I'm going to have you go ahead and get started.
Okay, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jen. Today's agenda, what we're going to go over today is we're going to touch upon a few items through the home buying journey. We'll walk through the process. I want to talk a little bit about mortgage qualification and how we qualify you at the credit union. And then the next step is when you actually become a homeowner and what to be prepared for. One of the great things about the credit union is we're part of your team. Once you start working with the credit union, if you decide to do a pre-approval, we'll stay with you till the end. You'll work with one person who will help you through the whole process. All of our services are personalized. We do offer a range of mortgage programs. Everything's digital, so a lot of times you don't even have to come into the credit union. Everything can be uploaded into a secure portal that we use. Our mortgages are kept in-house, so we have in-house servicing, and what that means is when you have a question about your mortgage, you want to pay a little bit extra to your mortgage, or you have a tax question, you can pick up the phone and call the credit union. Someone's going to answer the phone and help you, and it goes a long way. I always say servicing a loan is really important, especially when there's some sort of issue or you need something done, because you can walk into a branch, you can pick up a phone, and you're going to speak to one of the credit union employees themselves, and we're going to help you.
And that's so important. I think, you know, for anyone who's had a mortgage before, knowing that there's someone there for you, our servicing team is great, top notch. And I didn't mention, but we're all Harvard employees here. So, you know, people, it's a community.
It is. It's a great, and I always say you never, until you have a problem, it's not a problem. But once you go through something and you realize you can talk to someone, you know, on the phone, you wouldn't meet with them. It's a great benefit. We do portfolio lending, and what that means is we underwrite all our loans to Fannie Mae guidelines. However, if something unique comes up, you know, we do have the availability to actually make the loan, you know, review the situation and work with members whose loans aren't actually just a cookie cutter straightforward loan that is a Fannie Mae loan. So we have portfolio lending, which is really nice. We have great rates. We do rate surveys all the time, so we try to stay as competitive as can be. We do offer many different programs. We offer low down payment options. which we do loans at minimum 3% down. And for all of our first-time home buyers, we do give a $500 closing cost credit, which is nice. Recently, something new we do is if you open up a checking account with the credit union, we do give you a discounted interest rate. It's 1/8 off the rate. So for an example, today's rate for a 30-year fixed is 6.875. If you open up the checking account, Elite Checking, have automatic debit, your rate would be 6.75. So you're saving 1/8 on the rate. It's a nice benefit.
Okay.
So the first thing, members come in and they say, well, where do I start? I'm new to the process. Where do I start? I always start, there's two parts to the process. When you come in with me, meet with me or one of the originators at the credit union, we always say there's a two-part process. There's pre-qualification or pre-approval. Pre-qualification is more or less a conversation you're going to have. We're going to go through the process. We'll kind of talk about income. We'll talk about debt. We'll talk about, your overall, what you qualify for. We'll talk about down payments. But when you're actually ready to start working with a realtor, that's when you want to get pre-approved. And the biggest difference in the pre-approval versus pre-qualification is pre-approval, we pull credit. So it's a hard pull on your credit, and we do verify your income and assets. When you do decide you want to get pre-approved, what we'll do is we'll pull your credit. We'll verify your down payment, verify assets to be sure that you have enough for the transaction. We'll ask you for pay stubs or tax returns, depending on if you're a W-2 employee or self-employment. And then we'll talk about all the different products that we offer to all of our members. We are a partner with Mass Housing. There is a presentation on our YouTube channel that was done last week. It's a great presentation. It gives you all the details of the Mass Housing program and how to qualify and who qualifies. So I would highly recommend looking at that and possibly, learning from the Mass Housing program on the YouTube channel.
Yeah. So we're not going into Mass Housing today in detail. Just, I think the takeaway for our members is just that they can apply for Mass Housing by coming to us to do pre-approval. You don't have to do an extra step. If you are eligible for Mass Housing, our mortgage loan officers are going to let you know, and there's lots of great benefits with that. But if you want to know all the details, definitely check out our YouTube.
Absolutely.
And I think Ty just put into the chat that link, so thank you, Ty.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else on this slide?
No, I think.
Okay.
Um,
I do want to mention to people, Green Path, it's always a big takeaway from every one of these financial wellness workshops that we do. So we are a partner with this nonprofit, Green Path, and they offer a range of free financial counseling. So anyone on this call, you do not need to be a member of the credit union in order to access Green Path. We do want to let you know about that. I think Ty's putting the link in the chat. I'm sorry, this link is incorrect. So on the slide, we'll fix it before we send it out, but I know Ty's putting it into the chat as well. Sorry about that. So anyway, Green Path will provide in many different languages free credit counseling if you want to improve your credit before you come in to meet with the mortgage loan officer. What's our minimum credit score typically?
We work with all members. Usually is 620 is a minimum credit score. I highly recommend that if you have anything out there, try to get it resolved before you apply for a mortgage. It's just because your rate is determined by your credit score. Your private mortgage insurance, which is an extra cost to you, is determined by your credit score. So if you're not sure of your credit score, maybe reach out to Green Path. If your credit score is not where you want it to be, Green Path may help you determine how to get it up there and get it up to the high sixes, low sevens.
Yep. So they can help you with just direct credit counseling, but also helping you figure out debt and how to tackle it. If you're struggling with debt, you don't have to struggle alone. Green Path is there for you and can help you, make a plan to get out of debt, particularly if you have credit card debt, but also sometimes student loans. They do student loan counseling, can help you pick a repayment plan. So lots of different types of free counseling available at Green Path, and hope that you take advantage of it. This slide is particularly for people who are members of the credit union. If you are a member of the credit union, you can monitor your credit with Savvy Money. And it's a great benefit. It is free. You just click through and sign up on the online banking, whether on the website or on the app. And they send you real-time updates to your credit. So like I'll get a little email like your credit score improved by 1 point. I'm like, oh, great, okay. But you know, I kind of have that attitude because I don't need right now to get credit. So I just signed up for it to see what it's like and everything. But if you are getting ready to apply for a mortgage, particularly, it's really good to keep on top of. It'll also show you everything that you owe. If you're not a member and you can't get Savvy Money, sometimes another service, like you may have access to it through a different bank or a credit card or something like that. So look around, but if you're a member, we highly recommend you go ahead and sign up for that Savvy Money. Again, it is free and really simple and just a nice, there's also a simulator. So you can say, what would happen if I closed a credit card? Because some things are counterintuitive. If you close a credit card, often your score goes down, which I think a lot of people don't realize. So it'll kind of walk you through because you want to have your credit to have a long average age. So to show that you've had a long-term relationship and paid back things over time. So anyways, I do recommend Savvy Money. I think it's great and a good tool for our members who are getting in that pre-home buying process. But moving on.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about when you're in the process and ready to start actually looking for homes, you want to assemble a team. We at the credit union, we would be your lender. You want to find a lender who's going to be responsive, have the products that you need. The availability is a very big point. A lot of times when one of my members, I do a pre-approval and I'll get a phone call from the seller's agent. They want to know, did you do your due diligence? And I don't share information, but I do confirm that, yes, I did my due diligence. I confirmed income. I confirmed assets. This is a great loan. You're going to have no issues. So it's a reassurance. And I think so the availability is a good piece. I always give my members cell phone number. If anybody needs to reach out to me, have them reach out to me. And I'm more than happy to discuss it with them without sharing. Once again, I don't share any personal information. And you want someone that has good service. And I think with our technology and our in-house, all of our employees are, whether it's servicing, underwriting, processing, everything's done in-house, which goes a long way. And it does, it's a great benefit. Next person is your buyer's agent. This is the realtor you're going to choose to help you find the home. You want someone that is that knows the area that you're looking to buy. So if you're looking let's say in the Boston market, you want a realtor that really knows the Boston market. They're going to know other agents. They're going to know good comps. So if you want to put an offer in, they're going to know whether you should go in over asking price or maybe under asking price. They're going to know the community. You want someone that does it all the time, that's full time, so they can, if a house is available and you want to go to an open house, they're available as well. They can't put it off for a few days because they have another commitment. And someone that has experience, that they know the market, they've been doing it for years, and they're going to help you, do the right thing, get your offer in there and get your offer accepted. And then once your offer is accepted, you'll need to find an attorney. We have attorneys that we work with all the time. They're fabulous. We can refer you to attorneys. So the attorney will help you once you get your accepted offer to do your purchase and sale, and then they'll handle the transaction going forward. So the attorney is a key piece as well. So definitely somebody that is accessible to you. Usually they'll give you their fee schedule. And you want someone that's a real estate attorney specifically for the transaction itself.
Okay. And we do have another video on our YouTube that is called Assembling Your Team. So we have a whole hour on this where we actually talk to a real estate agent, an attorney, and a home inspector actually as well. So if you want to check that out, you can do that.
That's great.
So what's next?
So the next thing you'd want to say is, okay, what am I looking for? Identifying what your wants are, where you want to live. Sometimes members will come into me and, they're starting the process. They want to get pre-approved, but they're really not sure where they want to live. They have a range, they may not all want to live in one specific area, and that's okay too. But get a good idea of where, around what area you'd like to be. Are you looking for a condominium? Are you looking for a house or a multifamily? And they're all a little bit different. When there's a condo, we have to incorporate condo fees. And when it's a multifamily, it's maybe a little bit more of a down payment and more reserves. So that's a good idea to have an idea of what you're actually looking to purchase. And then you want to do your must-haves. What's something you really want in the house? You know, do you want a 2-bathroom? Do you want a 3-bedroom? Are you okay with the 1.5 bath? Just put your needs, your must-haves, and then have what you'd like, because you're going to want to share that with your realtor. When you give your realtor your list of what you need and what you'd like, they're going to know what house is right. And if a house comes on the market, they're going to, you know, bring you to that house because they're going to know this is going to meet most of your needs.
I know when I was shopping for my current house, my then husband, his must-have was a parking space. And I thought that was silly because we've been parking on the street for a long time. We're divorced now, but I'll tell you, every time I pull into that parking space, I'm like, thanks to my ex,
Yeah.
you know, for saying that because, but
Who
yes,
would have
it's
thought?
great to know, and especially if you're in a couple, to have thought out together, because sometimes you have to negotiate that a little bit, right?
No,
What are your
absolutely.
must-haves?
Absolutely.
I've been through that process several times now, and it's fun and exciting seeing new houses, but it can be overwhelming. So I'm remembering back to that list.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, Jen.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so now you've been working with your realtor, you've been looking at houses, you've put offers in. So finally you found the perfect house. You want to put an offer in. Your realtor is going to help you with that. They're going to give you an idea of how much should you offer for this particular property. Should you go in at asking price? Should you maybe go in a little bit over asking price because houses in that neighborhood have all sold for over asking? Or should you go a little under asking? But your realtor is going to be a huge resource for that. When you're working with your realtor, they're going to prepare an offer for you. The realtor will work with you to do your offer letter. And with the offer, you'll put they'll ask you when a mortgage closing date, an appraisal date, a mortgage contingency date. So all the important date timelines that are going to be followed are going to be outlined in your offer. Usually when you give your offer within 24 to 48 hours, you'll get a response back. So at that time, the realtor will call you back, your offer is accepted, and now you're ready to start the process. That's when you're going to need an attorney, usually from the time of offer into to purchase and sale. And what that time in there is usually 7 to 10 days. In that time, you're going to need a realtor, I'm sorry, an attorney to help you negotiate the purchase and sale. Usually they have your home inspection within that 7 to 10 days. And it gives you a little time to, confirm with your lender, kind of get all your documents together. And then once you sign your purchase and sale, that's when the process starts with documentation with the lender. So definitely it's your offer is done with the agent. Once your offer is accepted, that's when you move on to your attorney who will help you with the purchase and sale and your lender.
And I know that my real estate agents have been fabulous over the years about keeping us on those deadlines, but you do want to be also yourself on top of all the deadlines in your offer letter and have them in your mind because, there's a lot of hustling.
There is, and it's a lot at one time,
Yeah.
paperwork and preparing yourself for
Mhm.
getting everything in on time and getting your loan approved on time.
Yeah, and I know this is complicated, so we do have a couple slides that walk you through the process in order, so you can tell us a little bit about this.
So the mortgage application process, so now you have your property, your offer's been accepted. You go to your purchase and sale, usually 7 to 10 days out, you're signing your purchase and sale, and that's your legal binding document that you are moving forward with this transaction. At time of backing up to step one, usually at the time of offer, you do give a earnest money deposit. Usually most times I see it's $1,000 you give with your offer, and if your offer is accepted, that $1,000 goes towards your down payment. When you go to purchase and sale, usually you give 5%. That's negotiable. Sometimes I see 3%, sometimes I see 10%. It's negotiable. So usually you give additional money at the time of purchase and sale, and that money goes towards your share of your down payment towards the property. You'll have your attorney working with you for the purchase and sale. You'll sign that. And then the next step is between your offer and your purchase and sale, or your purchase and sale is your loan application. Some members start their loan application once their offer is accepted. That's perfectly fine. We can do that. Once your application is submitted, you'll have an option to lock into the interest rate. Rates change daily, so it's an ongoing, you're going to want to watch the rates. You kind of do your own little research and see what trend the rates are doing, but we'll give you our rates and we'll go over all options, including, what makes the most sense for you, depending. A rate is determined by your credit score and your down payment. So I always say, check your credit score, try to get up as high as you can, because that's going to give you the best interest rate. So you've submitted your loan application, you're working with your lender. At the same time, you're going to get a set of disclosures. One of the disclosures that you're going to get is called the loan estimate. You'll get that within 3 days of application. The loan estimate is a really important document. It's going to go over all the costs to be prepared for, including costs that are not just closing costs, your real estate taxes, insurance. It's going to give you a really solid idea of what you're going to need in the end at closing for this whole transaction. At the same time, you're going to get probably emails, and we're going to have conversations about documents we're going to need. It's a lot of documentation, and sometimes it seems like you're always uploading something, but it's very important to stay on track with the documentation. Usually we give you an initial list, and throughout the process, there'll be additional things added as we go along, either by processing or underwriting. So you're going to prepare all your documents, upload them into a secure portal, or we can help you upload them, whatever works for you. One thing I always tell my members, and I try to remember to give them little pointers throughout the process, but one important piece is, when you start the process, do not apply for credit during the process. So I always say, if something was to come up, let's say you're in the process and you're already signed your purchase and sale, and you realize something happened to your car and you need a new car, talk to your mortgage loan originator, because you want to make sure that you're qualifying yourself if you do take out a new car loan, because the last thing we want to find out is at closing, right before closing, that you bought a new car and now you don't qualify for that loan anymore. So try your best not to apply for credit or credit cards, or buy new house appliances or furniture. Try to hold off as best as you can until after the closing, because the little extra payments could really impact your affordability and if you qualify or not.
Okay.
Okay, so now with your application's in process, what we're going to do is we're going to verify income. We always verify your pay stubs. If you're a W-2 employee, we'll verify your tax returns if you have any type of self-employment, any type of 1099 income. Once we have all the documentation, we'll also order an appraisal. The appraisal is ordered by the credit union by one of our partners. The appraisal usually takes about 5 to 7 days. We order it. Once we get it, we review it and we share it with you. So we do it, and the appraisal is going to give us the value of the home. So in the initial stages, you may have an inspection. The inspection is going to give you the quality of the home and what needs to be done. But the appraisal is going to tell us what the property is actually worth. It may have been listed at $650. You put your offer in for $655. The appraisal comes back and it's going to come back $655 is what it's worth, or it could come back over or under. And we'll work with you if that does happen. Once your appraisal's reviewed, once your assets, income, everything's reviewed and your loan's approved, that's done by the underwriting team. Once it's approved, you get a commitment letter. The commitment letter is going to go to you, and it's going to say that the credit union has reviewed everything. We reviewed your credit, we reviewed your assets, we reviewed the property, and we're going to lend you this money. So your loan's been approved. Then the underwriter will submit your file to closing, and that's when the attorney and our closing team will work together to prepare for closing. They're going to gather, prepare all the documentation, and make sure everything's in place for your date of closing. They're going to check the title to make sure the title's clear. The next step would be, now we're getting closer, so usually get your closing disclosure. Usually that's 3 to 4 days, 4 to 5 days before closing. Then 2 days before closing, we're going to pull your credit report. we're gonna just update it. We're gonna make sure that you didn't go out and buy a car or a boat or furniture and you're still qualified for this loan. And we verify you're still employed with the same employer. And at that point, you'll get your closing disclosure, which is gonna be very similar to that loan estimate we talked about. So there's no big surprises. Once you get your closing disclosure, those are the final numbers that the attorney and our closing team have put together, what you need to bring to closing. And as I said, we try to stay, you're not gonna be surprised. And, years ago, you'd go to closing and now you need $5,000 more, it came out of somewhere. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna be pretty accurate. And anything that changes throughout the process, you're gonna get an updated disclosure to tell you this changed, this price changed. So when you get to closing and you get your CD, there should be no surprises, and it's gonna give you an outline of what you need to bring to closing, how much money you're gonna need.
Okay.
That's the final figures. At the closing, you'll have the final figures. Usually, most attorneys want the money wired to their account. So if you bank with the credit union, we can wire the money over usually the day before the closing. Usually the day before the closing, you'll also go through a walkthrough to make sure everything's still in place. They were supposed to leave the wash machine and dryer. Well, you went through the walkthrough and there's the wash machine and dryer. Everything looks great. You want to make sure that the condition that you had planned the house, the condition is good that the house is supposed to be in, and that's going to be outlined in your purchase and sale. So the walkthrough is a good time just to double check everything and make sure it's as it should be. At the credit union, there's multiple loan officers. There's 4 on the screen here. Everyone's been doing this for years, so you'll benefit through working with any of us at the credit union. And we'll help you with your team and get things moving. As I said, once you start working with one of us, we're gonna stay with you until the very end. So we're gonna be there as a support system as well.
Yeah, just a wonderful team, and everybody works together here, and I definitely have seen it in action, and it's great to see. So this is going to be the link that you would go to check rates. You can also schedule an appointment here at harvardfcu.org/mortgages. Again, this is going to be the way to access mass housing. So earlier you were talking about, your down payment. If you qualify for mass housing, their programs can give you $25,000 to $30,000 toward your down payment. It is technically a loan. There's a second mortgage, but there's forgiveness associated with it. It is a really great program. That's for first-time home buyers, including people who you might have had a home in the past, but if you haven't owned a property in 3 years, mass housing might be a great thing for you. And one thing that was surprising to me is with mass housing, you can buy a multifamily.
Yeah.
So you can qualify for a situation where maybe you have a 2-family or a multifamily, and some of that income is going to help you pay your bills as well. So it can kind of set you up for future financial success. I think that's really a wonderful aspect of it. So really proud that we're a mass housing partner.
Yes.
and glad that that's available to folks. So now we did want to take a little time to allow people to ask questions. Again, if you have questions about your own situation, you can put it into the Q&A, which is on, if you don't see it, it's on the far right-hand corner of your Zoom. 3 little dots, go up there and go into Q&A, and you can drop any questions into the Q&A. One thing I did want to ask is, where does the credit union lend? Where can you get a mortgage? Do you have to be in Massachusetts?
That's a great question. We do all of New England
Mhm.
and we do Florida. So anywhere in New England and Florida, and that's we've done many loans in each state, so we're quite familiar with all those
Great.
New England states.
And just want to qualify, the mass housing is only available in Massachusetts, obviously, because that's a Massachusetts program. There are some other state programs in other states. And then also, that's not the only, we have some other
Yes, we
affordability
do.
programs. So your mortgage loan originator is going to be able to work with you and figure out what do you qualify for. So there may be some of the other ones, it's more like certain times of year there's money available, and
Exactly, yeah.
sometimes there isn't, so we know that. All of that is to say that your mortgage loan officer is going to be your your best resource for any of that. Can we please repeat how much Mass Housing is offering for assistance? So it depends on the program. So there's different programs for different income levels, and it does go up to what I would call like middle income for this area. But it is 25 to 30,000.
Yes.
Depending on the program.
Right, and depending on your income, one is a grant, so depending on the amount of
Okay.
your earnings, and the other one's an actual loan. It's a low interest loan.
Mhm.
So and they do forgive it over time. It's a really good product.
Yeah, and the other thing is if you qualify for Mass Housing, you automatically are into this, I forget the name of it, but it's like it pays your mortgage if
So,
you
yeah, it's like
have a hardship situation.
yes, it's the PMI.
Like.
Exactly. Yeah, it gives you it helps you if you got disabled or if you take time off from work for, for medical reasons or anything, it'll help you with the mortgage payment, which is a really, and it's part of your private mortgage insurance, so no extra cost.
Yeah,
It's a great.
that's a wonderful program, and I know during COVID, particularly, they paid out a lot of claims then. And then questions about Mass Housing, is it for first-time home buyers? My understanding is yes, it is for first-time home buyers, but that includes people who have not owned a property in the last 3 years?
That's our first time home buyer guideline. It's
Okay.
if you haven't owned a property in 3 years that you'd be eligible for a first time home buyer at the
Yeah.
credit union. I can
Yeah.
double check that. That's right. But I'm
And if
pretty-
you're not eligible for that, there may be some other programs that we could tell you about depending on where you live, or, there are some programs just for City of Cambridge people, there's some programs for City of Boston. Other things that might be available to you, so certainly don't hesitate to call us up and get whatever information or support that you need. Okay, what about, we have a member who has a lot of student loans, but is gonna be making a good salary. Are there things that you can do to recognize that, yes, they have a high debt? I think this person's a physician. Are there things that you can do to try to make sure that they are able to qualify for a loan despite having maybe a really big debt that they're facing?
Yeah, we do. We look at student loan debts and we look at it, different ways. What we're seeing a lot of now is the student loans are all in forbearance, so there's no minimum payment due at
Mhm.
this time. So we have to qualify you using a minimum payment. Sometimes we go back and if you were making payments, we'll get a history of the last 12 months of what you've made prior to it going into forbearance or
Mhm.
deferment, and that will help qualify you. We do offer physician loan programs that help with the student loan debt. So yes, we do, definitely, we work with you and we'll do everything we can to help get you into the house with the student loan debt.
Mhm, mhm. Okay, I am not seeing any other questions right now. I think that, yeah, it looks like that's it, but, I have learned a lot, and thank you for sharing your expertise. There's always something that I learn, even though I have bought a house and sold a house several times in my life, but you don't do it often enough that you even remember,
Right.
even if, so it's great to have the people who are the experts come in
And it
and
changes too, Jen.
it does,
So it
yeah, you're
changes every
right.
time.
Yeah,
So I always say people come in, they're not looking to buy a house for a year or 2 years. It's never too early because it's just get yourself ready, get yourself prepared.
mhm, yeah,
And things change so quickly that, there might be something better, the second time we talk, or something. Yeah.
right,
So
right, so it's
definitely.
okay to do that pre-approval. As opposed,
Pre-qualification.
yeah,
Yeah.
pre-qualification, yeah. So great, and I think that, you'll all get the slides sent to you, you'll get the recording sent to you, and ways to contact us. I think there's just a couple other little things, that I'll walk through, here. One is that we have a survey. We would love your honest feedback about things we can do better in our workshops. This will be emailed to everyone who registered, so everyone on this call is going to get this. Another thing that we just want to mention, we do have a new branch that's going to be opening up in the Longwood medical area. The new branch is going to be at 1 Brigham Circle, which also has a street address on Tremont there. We're really excited because we're going to have parking now at this new branch. So it's opening this summer. We don't have a date yet, but we will be blasting it out as soon as we have the final date. And also want to let folks know, if you bank at our existing Longwood branch, it is going to stay open into the fall, through the end of September. So that's the branch at 535 Brookline Ave. Unfortunately, the hospital they're doing a huge renovation. So we rent that from the hospital and Dana-Farber, and they're doing some stuff. So we will be having to leave there at the end of September. So this is going to be our new location in Longwood. And again, you'll get lots of information when that's happening, and invitations to come to like a grand opening celebration and such. So thank you everyone for joining us on your lunch hour. We really appreciate you coming and learning about the home buying process, and hope that you have some takeaways that are going to help you in your journey. So thank you. And we're going to say bye now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sharon.
Thanks.